Say hello to Electric Barbarella. Should be okay. Hey. I would like for all of you to take a moment and picture your first celebrity crush. I'm sure that many of you have moved on since then, but I'm willing to bet that there's at least a few of you in the audience who are still carrying a torch, and you are the ones that I'm speaking to. I would like for you to imagine yourself alone, naked, in a hotel room with this person. How would you feel? Excited, or terrified, or maybe some combination of the two? My first sexual fantasies were about Simon LeBon, the blue-eyed, pouty-lipped lead singer of Duran. In fact, my first daydreams were about him at the age of 8, before I even knew what sex was, in which I would get to curl up on his bare chest. Because I had these teenage sisters, and they were fans, and their walls were covered with these posters of the band, and many of them, they were shirtless, showing off their hairless, skinny, 20-year-old bodies. And I guess something about that must have registered with me at the time. So about 20 years later, at the age of 28, I was in the process of quitting my corporate job that I hated. And among other things, I started to do some fetish work, which was really fun and really lucrative, and that I make more in an hour than I did in about 2 days at the office. So with all this extra time and money, I could go about, checking off all the items on the list that I always wanted to do, like meet Duran. So I bought a VIP vacation package in Las Vegas, which cost about $1,200, and will get you some concert swag, a hotel room at the Hard Rock, which was where the band was performing and also where the band was staying, and also a pink wristband, which would get you into the venue before everyone else and would also get you a brief meet and greet with the band. So I went out and got their new album, Astronaut, which included a song called Bedroom Toys, which appears to be about silicone implements and high-end hotel rooms. And at that point in time, I was spending a lot of time in 4- and 5-star hotels, and I had a big basket of toys. So I went right to the meet and greet, and I marched right up to Simon with my album, and I said, "Simon, I really like the lyrics to Bedroom Toys. In fact, I kind of identify with them. You see, I'm a fetish worker in San Francisco." And I saw his whole face just light up, like, finally, this was a conversation he wanted to be having. So he said, "So do you do spankings?" And I said, "Sometimes." And he said, "Are you the spanker or the spankee?" I said, "I'm the spanker." And he said, "Oh, so am I." And he turned away. And I wanted to say, well, wait, are we talking personal or professional here? Because I'm off the clock, and I could totally use a spanking. But his attention was diverted at the moment because there was this massive video camera pointed right at us, recording every word we were saying. So he just silently scribbled something about spanking on my album cover, and 5 years later, a half-second clip of that moment with us together was used in the All You Need Is Now video. So I guess history was made. But at about 2 o'clock in the morning, I was walking through the halls of the Hard Rock with 2 of my friends, Kim and Rebecca. Kim was this tall, blonde former stripper, and Rebecca's a lovely, luscious, first-generation Greek-American. And we were on the way to Circle Bar, and who should come walking by us but Simon LeBon. He was going very fast. I don't know if he was out trolling for groupies or if someone was after him, but he was speed walking. And as he was coming by, he called out over his shoulder, "You coming with me?" And naturally, this required no thought or response. So we got into the elevator with him, and the first thing he did is he started pushing all the buttons. And I guess this was in case somebody was following. If they were watching the lights from the ground floor, then they wouldn't know which floor we got out on. So we're doing this stop and start through all the floors. And he's groping my friend Kim, and then he's running a finger up the leg of my skirt, and it was also forward, and all I could think to say is, "What you doing there?" And he said, "I'm just checking to see if you have any knickers on." "I haven't got any on, see?" And he jumped back, hiked up his jeans, unbuttoned them, and wiggled the tip of his flaccid penis at us. Now, none of us were particularly impressed with his style of wooing, but I guess we all figured we're already this far down in the rabbit hole, we might as well just go with it. So we followed him to his suite, and he opened up a lovely bottle of wine, and he turned on the adult movie channel with the sound off. So we're all sitting on the couch watching porn and talking about things like pubic hair, 1970s porn, and favorite sexual positions, and it's, if you might imagine, it's a little bit awkward, especially for the girls who weren't from San Francisco. But at some point it occurred to him, this isn't really the way you get a groupie's juices flowing, so he pulled out his guitar and started singing to us. And the first song he chose to do happened to be my favorite song, The Chauffeur. So I had a little of a surreal moment, feeling like my 13-year-old self had written the script or something. But I gotta tell you, I would not have left the room for the world, just based on principle, but my overwhelming sensation was that of anxiety, which was beginning to turn to a little bit of nausea. But so he put the guitar away. My friends excused himself to go to the bathroom to freshen up, and he pulled me to my feet, and he pulled me close, and I could feel his heart on through his jeans, and he leaned forward and whispered in my ear, "Aren't you going to try to spank me?" And I said, "Oh, actually, I was hoping you'd try to spank me." And he said, "Well, maybe it's time we ask the others to leave." And this little door opened in the back of my brain, and a little voice said, "Oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, Simon LeBon, I'm gonna puke." So I excused myself, I went to the bathroom, but Kim was still in there. But luckily it was one of those bathrooms where you have the water closet is separate from the rest of the bathroom. So I gotta have a moment by myself, those moments when you're on the outside looking in, you can see the whole picture. It took me 20 years to get here, and here I am, vomiting in Simon LeBon's sink. I managed to clean myself up. I found his toothpaste and began a reconnaissance of his personal hygiene items, and he appeared in the door behind me, and he was like, "Is it okay that they're still here?" And I said, "Oh, yeah, I'm easygoing." And actually, I was really kind of relieved that they were still there, because it kind of took some of the pressure off. And, as a polyamorous bisexual from San Francisco, I was no stranger to the 4G. And these girls are straight, but they were kind of hot, and I thought, this would be kind of like watching Simon LeBon porn. It'd be awesome. But I was going to say it was free porn, but at one point I took a look around the room, and I noticed we were all wearing those pink wristbands. We collectively paid $3,600 to be in the room that night. So if you think about it, if you consider Duran to be a fetish, it'd be kind of like he's maybe the highest paid male fetish worker this side of the Mississippi. But, he looked great naked, and he did not disappoint. And, Rebecca hadn't gotten laid in 2 years. You imagine coming back into the fold in this manner. It was like, she was feeling a little bit self-conscious. She had nothing to worry about, but Simon kept on telling her how beautiful she was and how much he loved her full breasts and her belly, and she ended up riding him on top, and she basically got herself off and got the hell out of there, because she had to drive all night to work in the morning. And Kim had one of those hall pass arrangements with her husband. If you're in basically a monogamous relationship with the one safe bet thing, you say, you like Jennifer Lopez. If you ever meet her and she wants to fuck you, I'm okay with that, because you figure it's never going to happen. But I have to tell you, Simon LeBon is not a safe bet. The man is a slut. But yeah, so, this is great, though, because, Kim really loves rough sex, but her husband's a little bit scared of it. But Simon was pulling her hair and whipping her around and spanking her, and she was scratching him. They're calling each other names. They're telling me where to stand to get a better view. This was awesome. And, but eventually even Kim left, and I had to figure out what it was that I wanted out of the situation. And you might imagine he needed a little bit of a rest after all that. So he laid back on the bed, and I went and found the hotel bottle of hand lotion, and I started to give him a very slow, sensual hand job. And Simon's one of those extroverts that has no filter between what's going on in his brain and what comes out of his mouth, whether he's, in a private hotel room or on national television. So I guess he was feeling a little bit self-conscious, and he felt the need to tell me that in 1992 he got in a motorcycle accident in which he lost half a testicle. And I had to fight back the urge to say, "Oh yeah, I totally saw that BBC interview. Don't you know I've loved you since I was 8? But I figured that might be a little bit of a mood killer, so I kept it to myself, and I just nodded and made little, sympathetic sounds, and eventually he rolled me onto the bed, and he retrieved his third condom for the evening and asked me if I would like him in me. And I realized what I really wanted was a connection, if only for a moment. And I think maybe that's what he wanted too. So for all of our talk of spanking, we ended up in missionary position. It was very slow, very sweet. And when I was doing the run-through of this with a friend, she asked me, what were you thinking at that moment in time? And I said, I was thinking about my sister and how she would disown me if she ever found out. If you asked her, she would tell you he was her first love. So she still doesn't know. So those of you who are my friends on Facebook, please don't tag me in a photo that says, this girl fucks Simon LeBon. But yeah, we were, I was trying not to think about my sister. We were, things were slowing down a little. And afterwards he wanted to cuddle. And I made a point before I left to climb on top of him and lay with my head on his chest, as I had in those daydreams. So many years ago, my heart was just pounding in my chest, and I was thinking, I made it. And I walked out of that room feeling like I could do anything. Yeah!